I used to think my marriage was perfect. Claire would smile at me every morning like I was the reason the sun bothered to rise. We had our rituals, coffee together, shared playlists, long drives. She used to whisper, "I'll never betray you, Ethan. You're my forever." I believed her. I believed every damn word. But lately something feels off. The air between us hums with things unsaid. She comes home late, smelling like perfume that isn't hers. "Long day?" I ask one night, trying to sound casual. She slips off her heels. "Yeah, deadlines. I'm exhausted." I nod, studying her face. Her lipstick is smudged, but she avoids my eyes. "You've been working a lot lately." "You know how it is," she says, forcing a smile. "Clients can be demanding." I try to laugh, but it catches in my throat. "Right, clients," she frowns. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," I lie. "Just miss having dinner together." Her tone softens. "I miss it too. Things will calm down soon." But they don't. Each night stretches longer. Each call she takes in another room burns through me. I tell myself it's stress. I tell myself I'm being paranoid. Then one Saturday, a moving truck pulls into the house next door. Claire's face lights up as she watches a man lift boxes with a confident grin. "New neighbors," she says brightly. "Maybe they'll join us for dinner sometime." I force a smile. "Sure, why not?" When we meet them later, Claire looks stunning. Too stunning for a casual introduction. She's wearing the red dress I bought her for our anniversary. Daniel Hayes, the neighbor, shakes my hand firmly. "Good to meet you, Ethan. My wife's inside feeding the baby." Claire's eyes sparkle. "You have a baby?" "Oh my God, I love babies," he laughs. "Jacob's just a few weeks old." "Come on in, meet him." Inside, the place smells of new paint and milk. His wife, Grace, hands Claire a small, cooing bundle wrapped in blue. Claire gasps softly. "He's beautiful." Then the baby opens his eyes, green, bright, vivid green, the same color as mine. My chest tightens. Claire laughs nervously. "He looks just like you, Daniel." Daniel shrugs. "Maybe. Everyone says he's got my smile, but I can't look away. That shade, emerald with a hint of gold, has followed me my whole life. Even my mother used to say, "You've got rare eyes, Ethan. No one else in the family has them." "Ethan?" Claire touches my arm. "You okay?" I blink. Yeah, just reminded me of something." Grace smiles kindly. "Maybe your future kid will have those eyes too." Claire laughs too loudly. "Oh, Ethan doesn't want kids yet. He's married to his work." I stare at her. "That's not true," she waves it off. "You know what I mean?" Daniel chuckles. "Don't worry, parenthood sneaks up on you." I manage a tight smile, but inside my stomach twists. Back home, Claire hums as she washes dishes. "They're sweet, aren't they? Grace said we should come by tomorrow." "Sure," I mutter, sitting at the table. "The baby's cute, right?" she says brightly. He even looked at me like he knew me. "Yeah," I say quietly. "Looked familiar to me, too." She glances over her shoulder. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," I say, forcing a smile. "Just, he's got interesting eyes." Her hands freeze in the sink for half a second before she continues scrubbing. "You and your observations." I watch her, the rhythm of her movements suddenly mechanical. "You went over there before today, didn't you?" She pauses. "What?" "I mean, you knew they had a baby. You said his name before Daniel did." She turns, drying her hands. "Grace mentioned it last week when I helped carry a package for her." "You never said anything." "Ethan," she sighs. "Not everything's a mystery." "I know," I whisper. "But lately, everything feels like one." She crosses the room and wraps her arms around my neck. "You're overthinking again." "We're fine." Her voice is soft, soothing, too soothing. I want to believe her, but something inside me doesn't. I rest my chin on her shoulder and breathe her in. There's a scent, faint but sharp, one I don't recognize. "New perfume?" I ask. She pulls back, surprised. "Oh, yeah. A gift from Sophie." "Right," I murmur. "Sophie. That night, I can't sleep. I keep seeing that baby's eyes in the dark, staring back at me like a reflection. Claire's words echo through my mind. "I'll never betray you, Ethan." I used to believe her. Now, I'm not sure if I ever really knew her at all. I couldn't stop thinking about that baby. His eyes followed me in every reflection, every dream. Even at breakfast, when Claire poured coffee, I caught myself staring at her hands, wondering whose touch they'd held. "You've been quiet," she said, sliding the mug toward me. Just tired, she smiled. Then sleep more, Mr. Overthinker. I tried, I muttered. But those green eyes won't leave me alone. She looked up sharply. What? The baby, I said. Jacob, he looks familiar. Claire forced a laugh. Ethan, don't tell me you're jealous of a baby. I'm not jealous. Just saying he looks like me. She chuckled again, too loud this time. You're seeing things. Maybe you've got a secret twin running around. Daniel had said the same joke at dinner. I didn't laugh then either. Later that day, while mowing the lawn, Mrs. Harper waved from her porch. Such a lovely couple, those new neighbors, she called. Claire seems to help them a lot while you're gone. I froze mid-step. Help them? Oh yes, she said cheerfully. I've seen her over there plenty when you're away on trips. So thoughtful, that girl. My fingers tightened on the mower handle. How often? She tilted her head. Every few days, I'd say. Sometimes she stayed for hours. I forced a smile. She never mentioned it. Probably just trying to be kind, she said, disappearing inside. Kind. That word burned through me. When Claire came home, I asked, Did you visit Daniel's house while I was away? She looked up from her phone. What? Why would I? Mrs. Harper mentioned it, Claire frowned. Mrs. Harper also thinks her cat speaks English. You're really going to believe her? It's just... She said you were there a lot. Helping Grace with the baby, she snapped. Is that a crime? I hesitated. No, just wish you'd told me. Her tone softened. I didn't think it mattered. You were busy. It matters to me, I said quietly. She sighed. Ethan, please. I was just being neighborly. Don't turn it into something ugly. I nodded, pretending that made sense. But that night, when I looked in the mirror, I saw it again, the exact same shade of green in my own eyes. I whispered to my reflection, It's just coincidence. I didn't believe myself. The next morning, Daniel waved from his driveway. Morning, neighbor. Claire told me you're an architect. Got any advice for my garage project? Maybe later, I said. He grinned. Jacob loves your wife, you know. Calms down whenever she holds him. My stomach twisted. Yeah, she's good with babies. She said you're not ready for kids, he said lightly. I looked at him. Did she? Yeah, he laughed. Told me you're a workaholic. I said she deserves a medal for patience. She does, I said, voice tight. She really does. That night, I sat beside Claire on the couch. Did you tell Daniel I don't want kids? She looked startled. Why are you asking that? Because he told me, she rolled her eyes. Oh my God, Ethan, he's just making small talk. Don't take everything so seriously. I just don't like people knowing things that aren't true. Fine, she said sharply. I'll stop talking altogether. Claire, no, really. Maybe I should just stay silent so I don't say the wrong thing. Her voice cracked and she turned away. I hated that I still reached for her. I didn't mean to start a fight. I know, she whispered. I'm just tired. Everyone keeps judging. Who's judging? Everyone, you, the neighbors, Mrs. Harper. She didn't judge, I said. She just noticed you there a lot. She looked at me, eyes glassy. Do you really think I'd lie to you? I hesitated too long. She stood up, hurt flashing across her face. Wow, that's all I needed to know. She stormed upstairs. I sat alone, staring at the baby monitor on the coffee table, the one she'd bought for when we have kids someday. My chest ached. Every word, every glance now felt like a test I was failing. When she came back down later, she whispered, I love you, Ethan. Stop doubting me. I want to, I said. I really do. But my mind whispered back a truth I didn't want to hear. Love doesn't erase suspicion. It only hides behind it, and those green eyes, my eyes, kept staring through every lie she told. I started watching her quietly. Not out of hate, out of confusion. Every notification on her phone made me flinch. Every whisper of laughter from another room felt like a secret I wasn't meant to hear. One evening I asked casually, Who are you texting? She didn't even look up. Sophie. She's having another meltdown about her job. I nodded, pretending to believe her. You've been talking to Sophie a lot lately, she smirked. Sorry for having friends. It's not that, I said softly. Just feels like you're somewhere else lately. She rolled her eyes. Ethan, please. Not this again. Not what? This obsession that something's wrong. You're turning into a detective in your own marriage. Her words stung. I laughed bitterly. Maybe I wouldn't have to if things made sense. She sighed, brushing past me. You know what? We need therapy. And that's how we ended up in Dr. Lewis's office. Two people pretending not to be falling apart. Dr. Lewis smiled kindly. Why don't you both share what brought you here? Claire crossed her legs. My husband's controlling. He doesn't trust me anymore. I turned to her, stunned. Controlling? She avoided my eyes. You check my phone. You question everything I do. It's exhausting. I only checked because you were lying. I blurted. Dr. Lewis raised a hand. Ethan, maybe start by explaining how you feel instead of accusing. I swallowed hard. I feel like I don't know her anymore. Like something's missing. Claire's tone softened. Then maybe try remembering who I used to be instead of hunting for mistakes. Her words hit harder than I expected. I stared at the floor. Dr. Lewis leaned forward. Ethan, what are you afraid of? That she doesn't love me anymore, I said quietly. That I'm holding on to something already gone. Claire's eyes glistened, but she looked away. I do love you, but you're suffocating me. I wanted to shout that lies suffocate more than love ever could, but I stayed silent. Therapy ended with polite smiles and hollow promises. Driving home, she said, You embarrassed me in there. I told the truth, I said. You accused me, she snapped. You always do. I clenched the steering wheel. Then stop giving me reasons to. She turned to the window. I'm done fighting. Then stop hiding things, I whispered. She didn't answer. That night I sat in my office pretending to work. My computer screen glowed, but my thoughts kept circling the same question. Was I crazy, or was she? The next day at work, Olivia leaned over my desk. Rough week? I forced a smile. That obvious? She studied me for a moment. You look like a man trying to hold his world together with duct tape. I laughed softly. You're not far off. Want to talk about it? It's just marriage stuff, Olivia nodded. Sometimes the truth hurts more when it's close to home. Her words lingered long after she walked away. That night, Claire was already in bed when I came home. You're late, she murmured. Had to finish a design. She smiled faintly. Workaholic. Better than liar, I muttered under my breath. What? Nothing. She turned on her side, facing away. I can't keep doing this, Ethan. Doing what? Feeling like I'm being watched. Then stop giving me reasons to watch. Her silence filled the room like smoke. Later, I lay still, pretending to sleep. Her breathing evened out, then shifted, softer, slower. I heard the sheets rustle, her bare feet on the floor. My heart began to pound. She crept toward the door. I kept my eyes shut. The door clicked open. Then silence. Every instinct screamed at me to move, to follow, but I couldn't. My body was frozen, my mind racing. A minute passed. Then 5, then 10. I finally sat up, staring at the clock, 1:14 a.m., my voice broke in a whisper. Where are you going, Claire? Through the window, I saw her silhouette under the streetlight, coat wrapped tight, phone glowing in her hand. She glanced around once before disappearing into the night. My chest tightened until it hurt to breathe. I knew exactly where she was going. The night was cold enough to make my breath visible, but my thoughts were louder than the wind. I watched Claire grab her coat, her movements quiet but rushed. Going out this late? I asked, my tone too calm for what I felt. She froze for half a second. Just couldn't sleep. Thought I'd go for a walk at midnight. I forced a smile. That's new, she avoided my eyes. Clears my head. Don't wait up. The door shut behind her before I could respond. My fingers trembled around the mug I hadn't even realized I was holding. I set it down and followed, barefoot at first, then quietly slipping on my shoes by the porch. The air hit me like ice as I stepped outside. She was already halfway down the block, walking quickly under the flickering streetlights. Every step I took echoed in my chest. I kept my distance, hiding behind the parked cars, my heart sinking with hers in strange rhythm. She turned the corner toward Daniel's house. My stomach tightened. I already knew. I just didn't want to see it. When she reached his porch, the light above the door clicked on. He opened it almost instantly, like he'd been waiting. Hey, she said softly. Claire, he breathed out. You shouldn't be here. I had to, she whispered. I can't. Keep pretending. My throat burned as I crept closer, stopping just behind the hedges. Daniel reached out, touching her cheek. He's starting to suspect, isn't he? Her voice cracked. I think so. He's been distant, watching me, asking questions. Then stop coming here, Daniel said. This isn't fair to him, or to us. I can't stop, she said, tears glinting in the porch light. You know that. When she stepped inside, I moved to the side window, the one facing the living room. The curtains were half open. My heart didn't want to look, but my eyes did. She stood in front of him, her hands shaking. Every time I see him, I think of what we did, she said, her voice breaking. Daniel took her hands. We made a mistake, Claire. She shook her head. No, we made a choice. He looked away, guilt etching into his face. It's not just you and me anymore. There's Jacob. He deserves... Don't, she said sharply. Don't say his name right now. I nearly stumbled backward. My name was written all over that child's eyes. Hearing his name come from her lips felt like glass against skin. Daniel's voice softened. You love him, don't you? Her lips quivered. I thought I did. But it's not love anymore, it's guilt. He reached for her and she let him. Her forehead pressed against his chest as she began to cry. I can't tell him, Daniel. I can't destroy everything. You already did, he murmured, and then she kissed him. It wasn't hesitation. It wasn't confusion. It was a confession without words. I stood there, frozen beneath the yellow glow of the streetlight, watching the life I'd built shatter quietly behind glass. My breath turned ragged. My palms were numb. I wanted to shout, to break down the door, to demand answers, but the weight of what I saw anchored me to the ground. They pulled apart eventually, and she said something I could barely hear. Just one more night, maybe, or maybe I imagined it. When she finally left, the horizon had already begun to gray with dawn. I walked home slowly, each step heavier than the last. The front door creaked open, and I slipped inside. Everything smelled like her perfume, familiar, deceitful, suffocating. A few minutes later, the bedroom door opened. She walked in quietly, removing her coat, her eyes half closed. You're still up? She whispered, her voice soft, tired, practiced. Yeah, I said flatly. Couldn't sleep. She smiled faintly, the same smile that once felt like home. You worry too much. She climbed into bed beside me, resting her head on my chest. I love you, she murmured, her voice trembling with the weight of her lie. I stared at the ceiling, silent. Her breathing slowed as she drifted to sleep. Unaware that her confession was still echoing outside in the night air, my silence became her comfort. My love became her lie. I need to know the truth, I said, sliding an envelope across Lucas Reed's desk. No more guessing, no more doubts. Just facts. He looked at me, calm and deliberate. You're sure you want to do this, Ethan? Truth doesn't always come clean. I'm past clean, I muttered. I'm drowning in lies. I just need air. He nodded, taking the envelope. Tell me about her. My wife, Claire, I said, my throat tightening. She's been seeing our neighbor, Daniel Harper. Late nights, messages, excuses, and a baby with my eyes. Lucas leaned back, his expression unreadable. You think the child might be yours? I hesitated. I don't think I know, but I need proof. He wrote something in his small notebook. Give me a week. Maybe less. Do whatever it takes, I said. Just to be discreet, he smiled faintly. Discretion's part of the job. When I left his office, the air outside felt heavier, as if I'd just signed a silent contract with pain. For 7 days, every tick of the clock scratched at my nerves. Claire carried on like nothing was wrong, soft laughter, morning coffee, her phone face down on the counter. Are you okay? She asked one night, brushing her hand across my arm. Fine, I lied. Just tired. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and went upstairs. The sound of her footsteps was a countdown I couldn't stop. On the 7th night, Lucas called. I've got what you asked for. You might want to sit down. His office smelled of coffee and cigarette smoke. A manila folder sat between us like a loaded gun. He opened it, pushing a few glossy photos toward me. That's your wife and Daniel, he said quietly. In the first photo, they were at a hotel bar. She was laughing, her hand on his. The next one, they were in a hotel room. His shirt was half off. Her smile was wide, unguarded, real. My chest tightened until breathing hurt. How long? 3 months, maybe longer. Every Thursday night. I stared at her face in the photo. The woman smiling wasn't my wife. She was someone else entirely. Lucas hesitated. There's something else. He reached for another envelope. You mentioned the baby. Jacob, I said softly. Daniel's son. Not exactly, Lucas replied, sliding a paper across the desk. I got the results back. DNA testing, double-checked through 2 labs. I stared at the numbers, the percentages, the words that shattered whatever was left of my reality. Probability of paternity, 99-98% my name. My blood, my child, I whispered. He's mine? Lucas nodded. Yours. For a moment, everything in me went silent. No thoughts, no anger, just the heavy echo of betrayal. She cheated on me, I said finally. But she didn't even cheat with him. She cheated against him. Against all of us. Lucas said nothing. He'd seen too many men at this breaking point. I stared at the photo again. Claire's smile froze in mid-laughter. She carried my child, lied to me, and handed him to another man. What kind of person does that? Lucas leaned forward. The kind who thinks the truth will destroy everything she's built. It already has, I whispered. She just doesn't know it yet. He closed the folder. What are you going to do now? I don't know, I said, rubbing my temples. Part of me wants to confront her. The other part wants to vanish, just disappear and let her choke on her own lies. You've got options, he said. You've got proof. Use it wisely. When I stood to leave, he placed a hand on my shoulder. Be careful, Ethan. Truth and revenge look similar from a distance. I gave a hollow laugh. Maybe I don't care which one I find first. Outside, the night felt colder than usual. The folder in my hand was heavier than any weapon. I sat in my car, staring at the photos again, my reflection caught between her smile and the child's green eyes. My son. My blood. Her lie. Her choice. I pressed my forehead against the steering wheel and whispered, Why, Claire? The silence answered me. It was cruel, final, and absolute. That night, I realized something brutal. Betrayal doesn't just wound, it rewrites everything you thought was real. And I wasn't sure I'd ever believe in love again. I found Sophie at the cafe, corner table by the window, latte in hand, smaller than I remembered. Hi, I said. Sliding in, she froze. Ethan, what are you doing here? I need to ask you something. Did you know about Claire and Daniel? Her face drained. Ethan, answer me. The room narrowed. Sophie swallowed. A yes. I knew. You knew. I let it sit. How long? Months, she whispered. Since last winter. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, throwing a stone into calm water. I tried, she said. I told her it would destroy you. I begged her to stop. She didn't stop. She said she was lonely. Sophie's eyes filled. You were gone all the time. She said Daniel listened when you couldn't. He was comfort. Comfort, I repeated, tasting the word. So she chose comfort over us. She felt unseen, Sophie said. You worked. Claire needed someone who stayed. Did she ever say anything about Jacob? My hands shook. She was scared, Sophie said. She didn't know how to tell you. Scared of what? Losing me? Losing what we built? My voice cracked. She carried my child and let another man raise him. Sophie flinched. She didn't mean to hurt you. She didn't mean to? I barked. She lied in my face for months. She kissed him in our neighborhood while I slept in the next room. She cried to me, Sophie whispered. She promised she would stop. I wanted to believe her. You wanted to believe her. I leaned forward. So you let it go on. I thought she'd tell you, Sophie said, voice small. I thought she would do the right thing. You thought. The word cut deep. You're my friend, Sophie. You were supposed to protect that. I know. Her apology trembled. I'm sorry. I didn't know how to make her tell you. Did Daniel know about Jacob? I asked. He thought the baby was his, she said. She never told him otherwise. He loved that baby? She loved the baby, Sophie said. Daniel loved Jacob like his own. So he raised my son, I said flatly. Unwittingly, Sophie's fingers found mine across the table. Ethan, she was ashamed. She was wrapped in guilt. Did she ever tell you she loved me? I asked, needing the truth. Sometimes, Sophie said. Sometimes she sounded sincere. Sometimes she said it because she was terrified of losing everything. Did she ever say she loved Daniel? I asked. She said she cared, Sophie answered. Not like she said it to you. So which was the lie? I murmured. Sophie's head shook. I don't know. I wanted to protect you. You didn't, I said. You watched me get hurt. We sat in silence as the cafe hummed around us. Finally, I stood. Thank you for telling me, I said. Even now, Sophie grabbed my hand. Ethan, please. I don't want apologies, I said. I need space, she nodded, tears falling. I understand. As I walked away, my chest hollow, I felt a strange calm. I thought I'd explode. Instead, I felt the surface of a lake, smooth, dangerous beneath. I decided then she wouldn't see my rage. She'd see my silence. That would be her punishment. I didn't look back. Sophie's fingers tightened. What will you do, Ethan? Confront Claire? Go to Daniel? I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to shout, part wants to disappear. Don't disappear, she said. You deserve better. Deserve better, I repeated. Do you know how hollow that sounds? I do, she whispered. But you deserve truth. You had truth, I said. Why didn't you force it out? I thought I was protecting you, she said. I thought if I pushed Claire, she'd confess and stop. And she kept lying. My voice went flat. You made excuses. I'm sorry, Sophie cried. I should have done more. Sorry doesn't change my son, I said. Ethan, be careful. You have proof. Use it wisely, she pleaded. I won't become her, I said. I'll be silent. I'll let the truth speak, she nodded, tears falling. I never wanted this, I left. Outside, the air felt sharp. I let my phone stay silent and walked away. I felt empty. I told myself revenge would be quiet. Dinner tonight? I asked, folding the napkin like nothing had changed. Claire looked up. Really, you want to go out? Yeah, celebrate us, I said, keeping my face calm. She smiled. That sounds nice. You picked the place? Thought I would, I said. You work too hard. Let me pick tonight. At the table, Claire beamed. You remember the little things? I try, I said. She reached for my hand. I'm proud of you, you know. Thanks, I said, feeling hollow. I'm proud of you, too. We kept it light. Work, neighbors, Daniel's awkward jokes. When Jacob came up, I nodded. He seems lucky. Ethan, are you okay? She asked, reading me. Just want tonight to feel normal, I said. It does, she said, squeezing my hand. After dinner, I bought lilies and she cried soft, surprised tears. You didn't have to. I wanted to, I said. She leaned close. You remember things like that. I remember what matters, I murmured. Back home, I played the part. I kissed her, watched a show she liked, and cataloged evidence in my head. Where are you going? She asked once when I picked up my laptop. Working late, I said. Again? Promise to take it easy. I will. I lied. When she left the room, I opened the hidden folder. Photos, hotel receipts, the DNA report, my name on paper. The text between Claire and Daniel read like casual conspiracies, plans, jokes, late-night longing. My hands didn't shake as I scanned and duplicated, attached files to anonymous emails, and sent them out one by one. First, to Grace Hayes. Subject, truth, no signature. Then to Claire's mother and brother. Then to Sophie. Different accounts, different times. I waited. At dawn, my phone buzzed. Sophie's voice cracked. Who sent those? Did you, Ethan, how could anyone do this? Someone told the truth, I said quietly. What happened? They got the photos. Mom's in ruins, Claire called and begged. She's saying she'll confess to Daniel. How could she? You didn't stop it, I said. I tried, Sophie sobbed. I begged her. Then you failed, I said softer. But now the truth is out. More calls came. Claire's brother demanded answers. Where are you? He asked. At work, I said. He came over anyway. People arrived. Mrs. Harper stood on her porch like she wanted to say something but couldn't. Is everything all right? She asked me. I nodded. Everything's fine. I walked in as Claire shrieked, Who did this? Who exposed me? Her voice was raw. Her eyes, red and frantic, searched mine. "Whoever wanted the truth known," I said. She collapsed to the floor. "Ethan, please, you should have told him," I said. "You should have told everyone." "I was scared," she whispered. "I didn't know what to do." "You hid our child," I said. "You let another man raise him," she clawed at her hair. "I thought it would protect everyone." "Protect who?" I asked. "You protected only yourself." She reached for me. I stepped back. "Please, Ethan, say something." "I'm not going to yell," I said. "I'm not going to make a scene. I'll let them see." "Then say you hate me," she demanded. "I don't know anymore," I replied. "But I know I wanted truth." Tears fell, heavy and raw. She looked broken, desperate. I felt nothing that would give her the show she wanted. She screamed my name, called me a liar, pleaded, promised to fix it. I listened without reply. My silence was a blade, neighbors whispered. Phones rang. Daniel's name tumbled from mouths in shocked fragments. I sat at the kitchen table and put my head in my hands. "The lilies wilted in their vase. Why?" she whispered, crawling toward me. "Because you forced the truth into the open," I said. "I didn't need to be loud." "The truth was louder," she sobbed. I let her. Let her fall apart while I remained still, an island amid her storm. I remember when we first met. Outside, the neighborhood moved on. Inside, the house shattered. I watched everything I loved collapse and felt the steady, cold certainty that silence could be the deepest revenge. The morning after the storm, the house felt like a stranger's home. Too quiet, too clean, too broken. Claire sat at the kitchen table, her phone in her trembling hands. "Daniel's wife left him," she whispered. "She took the baby and moved out last night." I nodded slowly. "I heard." "She knows everything, Ethan. She said she never wants to see me again." "Then she's smarter than I was." Claire flinched. "Don't say that, please! Why not?" "It's true," her voice cracked. "My family, my mom blocked my number. Michael told me I ruined everything. They all hate me. They don't hate you," I said flatly. "They just finally see you." Her eyes filled with tears. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." "You didn't mean?" I laughed bitterly. "You had a year of choices, Claire. Every lie, every night you left, every time you looked me in the eye and said, 'I love you.' You meant it all." She covered her face. "Stop, please." "I can't." "You can," I interrupted. "You've always been good at pretending." Her shoulders shook. "I didn't pretend with you. I swear," I leaned against the counter. "Then what was it? Some kind of emotional vacation? A game?" "I was lonely," she sobbed. "You were gone all the time and Daniel was there. I made a mistake." "You made a life," I said, "with my child in his house." Her eyes widened, raw panic in them. "You know?" "I've known," I said quietly. "For a while now." She pressed her hands to her mouth. "Oh God, I saw the photos. The hotel. The texts. Lucas found everything." Claire looked at me, pale and shaking. "You hired someone?" "I had to. Because you couldn't tell the truth." She stood suddenly, knocking over her chair. "I wanted to tell you. I was scared. I thought you'd leave." "You were right," I said. Her knees gave out and she fell to the floor. "Please, Ethan, I'll do anything. I'll fix this." "You can't fix what's dead," I said. She crawled closer, gripping my leg like she was drowning. "I love you. I never stopped." "Don't," I said, stepping back. "You don't get to say that anymore." Her voice broke. "You didn't just lose me, you lost us. Isn't that enough punishment?" I looked at her. "You didn't just break my heart, Claire. You buried it," she cried harder, her voice small and desperate. "I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made a choice. I still love you," she whispered. "I'll prove it, please. Don't leave." I turned toward the stairs. "You should have thought about love before you sold it for convenience." She followed me. "Ethan, stop!" "We can rebuild this. Therapy time, whatever it takes." I opened the closet, pulled out a suitcase. "You want to rebuild? Start with the ruins." "I'm done living in them." She grabbed my arm. "You can't just walk away." I looked at her hand until she let go. "You walked away first. You just forgot to tell me." Her sobs echoed as I folded clothes, one after another. "Where will you go?" she asked. "I don't know." "Somewhere quiet." "You can't leave Jacob," she said through tears. "I'm not leaving him," I said. "He's the only part of this that's real." She sank onto the bed. "Please, I'm begging you." I zipped the suitcase. "Begging won't change the past." She looked at me like she was seeing a ghost. You used to fight for me. I did, I said softly. But I can't fight for someone who was already gone. The silence after that was brutal. She didn't move when I walked past her, didn't speak when I reached the door. Ethan, she whispered. What happens to us now? I paused. Us? There is no us, just the ashes of what could have been. Her voice cracked. Then at least say goodbye. I looked back once. Goodbye, Claire. Her sobs followed me down the hall, through the door, and out into the cold air. As I stepped into the street, suitcase in hand, I felt something shift inside me. Not relief, not peace, but the dull ache of truth finally unburied. I didn't look back. Her silence had once been my prison. Now it was her punishment. The apartment was small, 1 bedroom, cracked walls, a view of the old bridge, but it was mine. The first night there, I sat on the floor surrounded by boxes, just listening to the hum of silence. No lies, no pretending, just air that finally belonged to me. I didn't realize how tightly I'd been holding my breath until I let it out. 2 days later, Olivia knocked. I opened the door, and her soft smile met me like sunlight breaking through fog. So this is your new world, she said, stepping inside. Yeah, I replied. It's not much, but it's quiet. She looked around at the bare walls and half-opened boxes. Quiet's good. You always said peace was the one thing you couldn't buy. I finally found it on clearance, I joked. Her laugh filled the empty space. You look better, different. Different how? Like someone who survived their own storm. I leaned against the counter. Still raining, though, she nodded. Rain's not always bad. We sat on the floor, 2 cups of coffee between us. For a while, neither of us spoke. The silence felt safe. Olivia finally asked, Do you ever think about her? Every day, I said honestly, but not the same way. It's like remembering a house that burned down. You stop wishing to rebuild it. She wrote you again, she said gently, glancing at the unopened envelopes on the table. Yeah, 5 letters this week. Why don't you read them? I shrugged. Because I already know what they say. Sorry, regret, memories, love. Words lose their weight when they come too late. Olivia studied me. You really won't forgive her? I don't hate her, I said. But forgiveness isn't the same as reopening the door. She nodded slowly. You're stronger than you think. I'm not strong, I said quietly. I'm just tired of bleeding. Her eyes softened. Then maybe you're finally healing, I smiled faintly. Maybe. We talked for hours, about work, her garden, the neighborhood stray cat that adopted her. It was simple, real. The kind of conversation that didn't hide bruises. When she left, she touched my arm. Call me if the nights get heavy. They already are, I said. But I'll manage. Good, she whispered. Because you deserve to. After she left, I stood by the window. The city looked different from here, slower, softer. I watched people passing by, each one carrying a story I didn't have to understand. For the first time in years, I wasn't a character in someone else's lie. Over the next few weeks, I found rhythm again. Mornings with coffee, afternoons at work, evenings filled with music and quiet. I started sketching again, something I hadn't done since college. Lines became faces, faces became peace. One evening, while walking home, I saw Daniel. He was standing by the corner cafe, alone, staring at nothing. His hair was disheveled, his suit wrinkled, his eyes hollow. He didn't see me. Or maybe he did and pretended not to. I almost pitied him, almost. But then I remembered the nights he spent stealing my life piece by piece. As I passed, I whispered under my breath, Karma's punctual after all. He didn't move. Just kept staring into the dark. I didn't look back. Later that night, I opened one of Claire's letters, curiosity getting the better of me. Ethan, it began. I know you'll never forgive me, but I need you to know I still love you. I see you everywhere, in songs, in dreams, in silence. I miss you more than I can bear. I folded it carefully and set it on the counter. Then I struck a match and watched the paper curl into ash. Some memories deserve to rest. When the smoke cleared, I opened the window. The cold air touched my face like a blessing. I whispered, Goodbye, Claire, and meant it. That night, I slept without dreaming. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the floor, And for the first time in years, I didn't wake up with the weight of yesterday pressing on my chest. I brewed coffee, opened the curtains, and smiled at the sound of traffic outside, proof that the world kept moving, even after everything fell apart. Freedom didn't roar. It breathed softly, like a sigh after a storm, and finally I breathed with it. It had been months since I last saw her, long enough for my anger to turn to dust, long enough for silence to sound like peace instead of punishment. I was walking through the park when I saw her sitting on a bench near the fountain, the same one we used to visit on Sundays. For a second, I almost kept walking, but then she looked up. "Ethan." Her voice cracked like old glass. I froze. "Claire." She stood slowly, clutching a folded letter to her chest. Her hair was shorter, her frame thinner. Her eyes, once sharp with confidence, were hollow now, heavy with regret. "I didn't think you'd stop," she said. "I almost didn't." She swallowed hard. "I've rehearsed this moment 1,000 times." "Then you should know how it ends," I replied. She flinched. "I deserve that," I sighed. "What do you want, Claire?" She held out the letter with trembling fingers. "I wrote this months ago. I never sent it." "I couldn't. Why now?" "Because I needed you to know I finally understand what I did." Her voice wavered. "I destroyed everything, Ethan." I looked at the letter but didn't take it. "No," I said quietly. "You destroyed yourself." She blinked fast, fighting tears. "You don't have to forgive me. I just needed to see you once more. To tell you I'm sorry." I folded my arms. "Sorry doesn't fix what you chose. I know. But it's all I have left." We stood in silence. The fountain behind us murmured like time, whispering away the past. "I thought Daniel was what I needed," she said finally. Someone who listened. Someone who wasn't tired from work or distracted by deadlines. "But he wasn't you." "He never was." "Then why?" I asked. "Why trade love for convenience?" Her lips quivered. "Because I was afraid you'd stop loving me first. So I ruined us before you could." I let out a short, bitter laugh. "You succeeded," she looked down. "You hate me, don't you?" I shook my head. "No, I did once, but hate takes effort. I don't have any left to give." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I've lost everything. My family won't speak to me. Daniel's gone. Even Jacob doesn't understand why Mommy's always crying." My chest tightened, but I kept my tone steady. "You made your choices. Now you live with them." "I do," she whispered. "Every day." For a moment, I saw the woman I used to love, the way her eyes glowed when she laughed, the way she'd dance barefoot in the kitchen. Then just as quickly, the image faded. "I'm glad you're doing better," she said softly. "Olivia told me you're working again, painting." "Yeah," I said. "It helps. I'm happy for you." "Don't be," I replied. "Be happy for yourself. Learn to start over." Her voice broke. "I don't know how." "You will," I said. "One day. But not today." She nodded, clutching the letter tighter. "Can I at least give you this?" I hesitated, then took it. The paper was crumpled, tear-stained. I didn't open it. "Goodbye, Claire," I said quietly. She looked at me, eyes wide, desperate. "That's it?" "That's all that's left." I turned to leave. Behind me, her sobs broke the morning stillness. As I walked down the path, sunlight began to cut through the clouds. The air smelled like wet grass and beginnings. I stopped at the bridge overlooking the river and unfolded the letter. The words were what I expected. Apologies, regrets, memories of love that had long since died. "You were my home," she'd written. "And I set it on fire." I folded it again and let it fall into the water. The current carried it away without hesitation. For the first time, I smiled. No anger, no ache, just peace. As I kept walking, the sun rose fully behind me, casting my shadow forward. I whispered to myself, "I don't need revenge anymore." The truth was enough. The wind carried the words away and I didn't chase them. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't destruction, it's freedom. And that morning, I finally tasted mine.